Coming up on Mountain News at 6, a Senate bill would allow veterans to serve as school resource officers. Hear what superintendents are saying about the bill. Plus, one local college could soon become a 4-year residential university. Still got some hurdles to go through, though. We'll hear from the president about that.
And after chilly weather tomorrow, we see some more 60s by next week. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Kentucky school districts could have a new way to meet the requirement of placing a law enforcement officer in every school. Senate Bill 2 would allow for veterans and other retired personnel to temporarily fill those roles. They would be called guardians. Some school districts have struggled to have officers on every campus. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what's in the bill and reaction from those it would impact.
Mercer County Schools started its own police department to help fill the requirement of adding more school resource officers across all of its campuses.
You know, all schools have struggled to fill every position for their SROs because of two things, one of which is the supply and demand of what SROs are available to fill those positions.
The other is funding, but Superintendent Jason Boer says they currently have 2 officers in their department, but if a bill is approved that would allow them to hire honorably discharged veterans, he says it would help grow the pool of potential candidates.
So any way we can make our schools safer, I'm all for.
They would go through SRO Level 1 training. They will be able to carry a concealed weapon.
The entire bill is about 60 pages long. It includes a whole lot more than simply allowing these guardians to be temporary school resource officers. It would also have several mental health elements, including requiring that school counselors spend a good part of their time in helping students. There are also several reporting requirements.
They will be collecting data with students, data about mental illness, trauma that has been caused and affecting our students across the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
The guardians hired would not have arresting power and would only be employed on a temporary basis.
Once again, we're not replacing an SRO. Actually, I see this as being a great working relationship.
The bill will also require districts to set up a way for students and staff to anonymously report suspicious behavior. Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The House version of the state budget did include $20,000 for each school to use in hiring more SROs. Kentucky is just one of 4 states to hold elections in years where there is no presidential race on the ballot. Senate Bill 10 is looking to change that. Last month, the Senate passed the bill, moving it to the House, but a month later, the House still has not taken it up. Republican State Senator Chris McDaniel says Senate Bill 10's standstill in the House is par for the course in Frankfort, but Democratic lawmakers say they have different priorities.
We see a lot of bills that start out, we get them out of our chamber because they're priorities, but the other chamber is doing the same thing. They're clearing their priority bills out.
Within the Democratic caucus, this bill is not a priority for us at all.
Senate Bill 10 is a constitutional amendment, meaning that it does not require the governor's signature to be put on the ballot. The bill has been in the House of Representatives since January 18th. A 31-year-old Richmond man is behind bars facing child sex crime charges. Police arrested Kevin Perkins after being alerted by a group that works to catch people who engage in sexual contact with minors. Richmond police say an independent organization confronted Perkins at his apartment on Gibson Lane earlier this week. Chief Rodney Richardson says Perkins did admit what his intentions were and even told them he used to have a large number of nude photos of minors on his phone.
Once Mr. Perkins was alerted, and when they made contact with him, he immediately went back and deleted, based on his own statement, deleted all the photos that he had of young minors.
Chief Richardson says as they continue their investigation, it could lead to future charges for Perkins. Earlier today, Hazard Police posted on social media they were looking for a theft suspect, and we've just learned he's been caught. Here's a picture of Ryan York. Police say he is a suspect in several thefts around town. York was taken to the Kentucky River Regional Jail. The Bell County Sheriff's Department is warning folks about a scam tonight. The department has received some calls from those who are customers of Kentucky Utilities. They say they've received calls from people who claim their payments have not gone through. The person tells victims they can pay bills by going to retailers with a barcode that would be scanned for payment. If you receive anything suspicious, you can call the Sheriff's Department at 606-337-3102.
Well, after some heavier downpours this afternoon, we are trending a little bit drier as we go into this evening, but still a few spotty sprinkles in far southeast Kentucky, also pushing into southwest Virginia, zooming into Wise County, also pushing into Dickinson and Buchanan County at this hour. Nothing too heavy, but a few light showers, also pushing into northern Pike County at this hour as well. Now, again, we are watching out for a few showers. Here's a live look from UVA Wise. That current temperature is sitting at 46 degrees, so a little bit cooler as you go into southwest Virginia, but for most of us, we still have some 50s across the region, sitting at 56 in Irvin, 55 in Jackson, also for Hazard and Pikeville, and still sitting at 60 over in Clay County for Manchester. So be sure to enjoy the warm weather because we are watching out for some changes as early as tomorrow, all thanks to this cold front. Also this area of low pressure close to Chicago, and that will bring some cooler weather, also some more wintry weather as we kick off your weekend tomorrow. Watching out for some wintry mix, no big issues, and that is short-lived as more spring-like weather is on the way for Sunday and beyond, and possibly a few strong to severe storms by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thanks. Could Hazard Community and Technical College become a public four-year residential university? A Senate joint resolution calls for the Council on Post-Secondary Education to research the college's potential transformation. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox talked to HCTC President Dr. Jennifer Linden today about how the college could make that change.
School officials say a recent study showed 1 out of 21 jobs in the area are filled by HCTC graduates.
So what we're looking at is building upon the good work that HCTC is already doing. And what I mean by that is we would continue to offer our technical certificates, diplomas, and degrees.
The transformation would add four-year degree options. Linden says those degrees would be more focused on the needs of the region.
We would be looking at education. We would be looking at a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. We would look at criminal justice, human services, and business and information technologies.
Linden says several instructors already have the credentials to teach at that level. She says affordability would continue to be important in the transition.
We would still offer those 100 and 200 level courses at a community and technical college rate. Then we would look at the 300, 400 level courses that would be required for a bachelor's. That would be at a higher level rate.
Linden says they would need investment from legislators and a potential partnership for building an apartment-style complex.
So we're not looking at traditional dorms. We know that many of our students here in the mountains, they have family obligations.
Linden says they would expect to hire more faculty and folks for student services as well. In Hazard, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Dr. Linden says she anticipates the transition would take about 2 years to finalize if it happens. A new study from the UK Markey Cancer Center shows more than 134,000 cancer cases went undiagnosed during the first 10 months of the pandemic. Prostate, female breast, and lung cancers had the largest number of potentially missed diagnoses. Doctors say the longer cancer goes undetected, the lower the chances of positive outcomes. Researchers hope the study will highlight the importance of cancer screenings. One healthcare organization is looking to expand telehealth services in southern Kentucky and East Tennessee. WYMT's RJ Johnson has more on that.
Officials with Dayspring Health are working to expand telehealth services in an area CFO and COO Larry Rector says does not have a lot of options.
Many of us pivoted to provide telehealth technologies, but then we recognize that, our community is unique in the sense of you can't just reliably do telehealth from home. A lot of people struggle with even reliable internet. So by hosting those encounters in our facilities, it's going to a place that people feel cared for, it's reliable, and it's unique to our area.
He says while there will be medical assistants to help patients work through technology, they will work with doctors and other healthcare providers across the country.
Also connecting with providers across the country so that although it's not the long drive, you're still getting the quality access that the patient needs. So we have providers from Pennsylvania all the way to California that our patients will get to see.
Rector says it is all a part of their mission of providing more services to the region.
But then when we think about like this new facility that we're in, we are trying to essentially bring services that even stretch beyond specialty telehealth via technology. We're bringing diagnostics in here, pharmacy, physical therapy.
With the grant worth nearly $750,000 from the USDA, he says they will have 9 locations where patients can go seek health care in Whitley County and Campbell and Claiborne counties in Tennessee.
Not only at the locations that we currently have, but we also plan to take this technology into area schools and into area nursing homes, because that's another area where patients are having a hard time getting into the provider or getting into the clinic. So reducing the barrier, again, creating access, just take the access to the patient where they are.
In Williamsburg, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Rector says this will benefit patients by allowing them to not travel far from home to seek help, while also not making them wait months to see a doctor. In Bell County, some folks are mourning the loss of one of their own. David Cornelius died on Wednesday evening. Cornelius worked for the Bell County Sheriff's Department for several years, serving as the department's chief deputy at one time. Cornelius also had brief stints with the Pineville Police Department and the Bell County Volunteer Fire Department. He had served as a custodian for Pineville Independent Schools the last few years. Funeral arrangements have been made. Visitation is set for Sunday starting at noon and lasting until 3 p.m. at the Arnett and Steele Funeral Home in Pineville. The funeral will follow the visitation with a cremation ceremony after that. Cornelius was 60 years old.
Well, we are trending cooler as we kick off your weekend, but then back to spring by next week. All those details after this break. Plus,
the Pike County Fiscal Court is purchasing weather radios to help keep folks informed and prepared for severe weather.